What is up, friends, fam, and foes? Wait, let me do the one. What is up, fam, and foes? We are with JD today. Went undefeated at locals today, 4-0 with what deck?
With Ogdotic Brave DPE, also known as Reptile Pile.
Reptile Pile. That's pretty good. How did Pilot? How'd you feel?
I kind of built it earlier today. It's something that I was playtesting a little bit online and on Master Duels for about a week, so it was a little bit rough in the first match. But once it started going and once I was able to identify like the combo and chain lines of how the deck plays, it was nuts. Like the deck has so much gas and so much grind game that you can just keep playing through.
Sick. All right. So let's see what you got. Break it down for us. What are your engines and how do you play?
Okay, so as I stated in the title, we are playing, it's the Ogdotics, the Brave, and the DPE. We are not using any of the alien engines, and we're not using any of the reptilian engines that are frequently used in a lot of other Ogdotic builds. So first I'm just going to break down the snakes. So first big ones, we have the Agoribus himself. He is an awesome win condition just by being able to be at 3100. On top of that, he is a Zeus.
Collector's rare, no less.
Yeah, collector's rare. He is a Zeus for anything that's not special summoned from the graveyard. So a lot of your monsters, a lot of the Ogdotic special summon themselves from the graveyard, so you know that the synergy is there. But also DPE is a monster that keeps special summoning itself from the graveyard. So you can wipe the board and then have a DPE to win a simplified game state to then just kind of pop stuff. Then we play one Ogdotic King and one Queen. A lot of people usually don't play King, but I think the sheer threat of having both of them on board, which does happen in combo lines, is crazy. Like you just get to rip stuff out of the opponent's hand, send stuff to the opponent's graveyard, add cards from deck to hand. Like you just get so much value so fast during the opponent's turn that you can't pass it up. Then we play one Arlie and one Karus. They are primarily your extenders that you play out of graveyard with. This one is more of the extender than this one. A cool thing is that, well, it's actually not a cool thing until you get King Queen on board, but they do provide some value back to the opponent. Like this one will special summon a monster to the opponent's field, and this one allows them to add something from grave back to hand. So ideally you want to play these on turn one where they don't have anything, but if they've hand trapped you or something, they will get that hand trap like back on the field or back in hand, which can be a little bit unfortunate. But one special summons something from grave, and the other one is just a free body. Then we have the main cards. We have 3 Yugioh and 3 Nunu. These are your starters in the deck. The light one, you can discard it and send any dark reptile from deck to grave. And then if you control no monsters, or if you control a snake, you can bring this card back, but it's banished from the field. We do a lot of Xyz plays with this, so it allows you to kind of play through that. This one, you send it and you get to send a light snake from deck to grave. And then when this is special, when it's no more special summoned, you get to add an Ogdotic spell trap card, which is pretty nice. You get to get your extender, which I will kind of go into a little bit more later on. And then we play the one Zoa. He's in the combo line with the Nunu, just as your generic rank 4 play to make your extra deck monsters and get going. Then we have the Brave engine, so Griffin Rider, 3 Enchantress. I don't really have to explain much about these except that with this deck you do discard a lot with things like Snake Rain and your other Ogdotic effects. So this is just free fodder because you can discard her and then just banish her to do the Brave stuff. So it's just a free discard. And then to finish out some of the monster lineups, we have the 2 cards for the DPE package. We played 2 Bells and 2 Ash Blossoms. The deck space is really tight, so that's the only reason why I'm playing 2 of each. I find that this is very good, especially with DPE being as prevalent as it is, and then this is very good because I have been, at this locals in particular, I have been seeing Dragoon kind of be a thing again, so this just stops Dragoon. On top of just being good against like a lot of other starters that are currently in the meta. And then next, going into the spell lineup, gonna kind of keep it short and sweet here. So we have the Faithful engine. So the 3 rights, Faithful, Draco back. Once again, not really going to expand on these all too much. They're kind of self-explanatory. It's just so much value. Then we play 3 Yugioh water lilies. It is the main thing you're gonna search off of your Yugioh. This card is wild. You get to Foolish Burial a reptile, and then if you have 5 different reptile names in your graveyard, you get to just special summon any reptile from your grave. So if you already have 5, you can just send something that you're gonna like pretty much just an extra new or something to grave, so you can special summon it back. But then if you have like a king and queen already in grave, you just put that on board, and it's crazy. You don't have to tribute 2 monsters to put it on board, and you'd be amazed how fast you get 5 names on board, especially because we play 3 Snake Rain. So
not once per turn.
Not once per turn, which is so dumb. You just discard a card and you get to send 4 reptiles from deck to grave. This is a 1-card combo, 1.5 card combo. If this resolves, you can essentially do everything you need to do with your Ogdoadic plays and then some. On top of that, it's crazy deck thinning, especially if you use this even in the mid game. Once you get to like the 3rd one, if you're just top decking these just become discard fodder for other stuff. So that's fine, isn't it? You kind of make use of everything. Then we play 1 Ogdoadic Serpent Strike. This was a new card that we got out of Battles of Chaos for Ogdoadic, which actually came up only a couple times today, but when it did come up, it was very good. So you get to send a monster from hand to graveyard to special summon a reptile of a different attribute, and then once per turn, if anything is sent to the opponent's graveyard, if a monster is sent to the opponent's graveyard, you get to Foolish Burial a reptile each turn. So this feeds your grave. It makes use of the dead like level 8s, like the king, queen, and the god, like in your hand. You send them to special summon something, so you just get to keep extending. This card is really good for the situations where you brick, because you can just discard and then play out of that. So you play it just as a 1-up. It does come in handy. And then we play 2 Fusion Destiny because we are on the DPE package, and then 1 Called by the Grave. And then for the trap lineup, it's pretty simple, 3 Imperms. And we're playing 3 Imperms really just to make up for the fact that we're only playing 2 Ash and 2 Bells. Just want to have a little bit more defense there. Now, the extra deck is where it gets a little bit weird. So I I guess I'll start off with like the Exes, because you do a lot of Exes plays with Ogdoadic mainly. So you play 2 King of Feral Imps. This is an amazing card. This card was like kind of alright during its time, but with Ogdoadic being a thing, this card is nuts. You detach a material and just add any reptile from deck to hand. It's also a soft once per turn. So there's times where you will put 2 of these on board in 1 turn, and then just I'll just keep adding and just keep playing off that. It's just free real estate. We play Rika. You play Rika in conjunction with this. So the point of it is that she has an effect that if she's tributed while she has Exes material, you get to special summon a rank 5 or higher Exes from your extra deck and equip her as material to that Exes. And this is essentially kind of like, it's a Diet Mechaba is the best way to describe it. During your turn, if you activate a card effect, like any card effect, you get to attach a card from your graveyard that matches it, like monster, spell, or trap, to it. And then during the opponent's turn, if the opponent activates anything, monster, spell, or trap, and you have that material attached, you detach to negate. So those 2 are just in there as those additional rank 4s. We play the 1 Abyss Dweller for trap-based decks, because Abyss Dweller is really good right now. And then we play Dingirsu and a Zombie Vampire because rank 8s are awesome. So both of these serve their own purpose. One of obviously people are familiar with Dingirsu just being a send, like a rank 8 easy to put on board send. Zombie Vampire did come up quite a few times today, and this card is nuts. So when it's summoned, I think it's a detach. Yeah, so detach material, each player sends 4 cards from the top of their deck to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon one of the monsters that was milled through this effect.
Oh, wow.
So, actually, one of the crazy things that happened today was that, also, it doesn't negate the effects of the things it summons. So, one of the crazy things that happened today was I played Zombie Vampire. I had a Fateful Adventure that was essentially dead because my Griffin was there, and I had the Serpent Strike, but I was already I had most of my resources in grave. I used Zombie Vampire. I actually milled out a couple of more Ogdoadic names I needed, but out of his mill, he had a Magician Souls. So I special summoned the Magician Souls to my field, and then used Magician Souls and sent my 2 dead back row to draw 2 cards. It was just like so much burst that you got to do in 1 play. Next, going into the Exes lineups, the Link lineup. We have Anaconda because we're doing DPE and it's just good. We have Hauk. Hauk is in here primarily as a bait. You can special summon like Ash Blossom or Bell. Those are really your only tuners that you can special summon with this thing. However, the second effect that you're using is really to, during the opponent's turn, to make a Formula Synchron. And since we play a lot of level 8s, you use Formula Synchron to make a Baron during the opponent's turn.
Oof.
So
Nice.
that sometimes catches people off guard because you do get the draw off the Formula Synchron and then the Baron negate. So you get to kind of prep yourself for the following turn. Plus, you can protect yourself if you end up not using the negate, which is just really like it's pretty nice. It definitely secured me the game at one point. And then the actual like Reptile links that we play her. She is a really crazy card. When she is summoned, you target monsters the opponent controls. I think it's when it's summoned, you just target one monster the opponent controls, change its attack to 0, and then you can add reptiles from deck to hand equal to the number of monsters the opponent controls with 0 attack. But you get locked into reptiles from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So most of the time when I use this, it was more of something to kind of like get me the follow-up for the turn, just so I had a place to go. But also allows me to get over troublesome monsters that are really big. Just drop something down to 0, and then this can even run over it with 200. But you usually have other stuff that can help assist and just push for a little bit more damage. And the other one is Alien Shock Trooper. This card is crazy. So you can discard a monster and you place A counters equal to the level on face-up monsters on the field and distribute the counters however you want. If this card is destroyed, you get to special summon reptiles from your graveyard up to the number of up to the number of monsters everyone controls with A counters. So if the opponent has a wide field and you've distributed counters, what I actually did today was, when I was already in like a state where, you know, he's not really gonna have much more disruption, I can just keep going. I made this with a DPE. I used DPE to pop this, and then DPE pops something else, and then the effect triggers, and I got to special summon 3 reptiles, which then just allowed me to like really sink in for game. Like it's crazy value if this actually pops off. And then we play, the one DPE because we're on the DPE package. And then lastly, I play an Auroradon. It wasn't until I started playing today that I realized I cannot make Auroradon because I do not have a Death Spot 1 in my main deck like I thought I was initially going to. So this card does not work. You can probably flex this for something else.
So you just ran around today with a 14-card extra deck, and you still went undefeated.
Yeah, I kind of I goofed with this one. I was looking at it in one of my matches, and I was like, oh, well, I fucked up there with the Hulk play. And also the Hulk play doesn't pop up that often. You're definitely not trying to rely on Hulk because really you're making Hulk using these as your tuners, so it's kind of like a last-ditch type of thing. But being able to just kind of get to a point where you have so much advantage over the opponent. Ogdoadic, almost every match that I played, I had no hand by the end of it. Like, you play your entire hand, but you end up on some pretty crazy boards like Disruption, Negation, Extra Searching, and things like that. And then, with the Celestial and the Dasher Engrave, you just get to, you get to a top deck mode. So, any draw from the Celestial or, the draw from the Formula Synchron or, any draws in general are really, really, really good. But because of that, that's also the reason why we have to be multi-resourceful with the stuff that we use. So using your Water Enchantress for your Snake Rain cost. Because if they want to negate Snake Rain, this is gonna just pop off. So it's these are both awful. Which one can the opponent adequately deal with? If they can't deal with either, you just had a free cost. You have your entire combo going. You can banish this from your graveyard and do everything you need to do.
That's some good synergy right there.
It's so good synergy.
She needs to get banned. No.
What's wild is that I was initially running a build that wasn't using the Brave engine, but was actually using Eldritch. because the Eldritch would be a good discard cost because you can banish the traps to then set other stuff, and it allowed a little bit more counterplay. But the thing that sucked was that it was just kind of more of like a slow and grindier thing, whereas this presented a lot of bursts and a lot of like, it played kind of like a mid-range deck in some ways. Yeah, there was quite a few interesting interactions today. I felt like the deck, I had, obviously I went undefeated, but it just performed really well. Actually, I played against 2 trap-based decks, and being a combo deck that was kind of weak to, particular floodgates, I really thought I was going to have a struggle against those decks, and both of those, one of them I 2-0'd, and the other one, we went to game 3, but it was still like the fact that I was able to just kind of have so much played through. There was one game where I played through 2 hand traps and a disruption, and I still ended on a very substantial board. I don't really want to go much into the side deck because I'm gonna be real with y'all. I did not change a single thing from the side deck. This is the side deck that I took to regionals playing Sword Soul. I had no idea what the hell to do, so I kept the exact same. So the side deck, do whatever you want depending on your locals or events or whatever. This is just because I thought that these were good. So we play 1 Scythe because we do have DPE, but we mainly play the Scythe because we have crossouts. So so you can send Scythe to stop them from locking you out, since we really don't have much monster negation. And if you just open it, DPE gets on the board super easy. So it's just it's kind of easy to just you just make use of it. 3 Lancias because we do no banishing except for our Enchantress, which is during our turn, not the opponent's turn. So Lancia is just good for some of those matchups. Nibiru, which actually never came up. I never saw it when I sided in, and the decks most of the decks I played against, I mentioned I played against 2 trap decks, so they weren't summoning that much. The ones that I did side in very frequently was 3 Forbidden Chalice and 2 Twisters. We discard, we play out of grave. So this cost means nothing. If anything, it allows you to keep playing because you get to send your level 8s and then just bring your level 8s back and just keep going from there. And then Chalice is just a good card. Quick play, monster negate. There was one game where the 400 attack actually allowed me to run over an Underworld Goddess.
That's hilarious.
So I didn't have to directly trade a monster to monster.
Nice.
So if anything, I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep those. I'm playing a rogue deck, so I really should not be running Crossout, but I'm playing Brave DPE. So you can use Crossout to stop those things. I felt like these are just a strong staple in general.
Oh yeah.
I don't play enough hand traps to really complement alongside the Nibiru, so I may cut these out, especially because our deck just plays so well against it. I may keep 1, just because if I do decide to keep the cross out, we do summon a lot. Yeah. So being able to protect ourselves from a Nibiru would be alright. And then Scythe, I'll probably end up cutting this. So yeah, that was the deck. I was not intending to do as well as I did today. I really came to this event thinking I was going to go 2-2 because I was scrambling to build it before the event started. And then I won my first 2 matches and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then I just kept winning and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. So yeah, Ogdotics, Reptile Pile. It was...
Reptile Pile, that's speedy. How many cards?
It is a 40 card deck.
40 card pile Reptile.
I will never play anything more than 40 cards. But, this guy. Game saver today. I ran over a Dragoon with this. I wiped a full board with this. Amazing. Love this card. So, that's the deck profile.
Awesome. Thanks. Any shout outs for you? We know you got the Set 5 Pass podcast.
Yeah, Set 5 Pass is my podcast. Check it out anywhere where you get your podcast, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. You can also follow the Twitter at Set5Podcast. I want to give a shout out to Rivals, which is my lovely home locals. And I want to give a shout out to Dual Daddy, who gave me the inspiration to build Ogdotic and kind of got me on this fix. Thank you. This is where I got. And yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks.